Chapter 4, Clear as Glass. Everyone went silent. Russell didn't even blink. Having his best friend swoop in and steal the red team shot was bad enough, but getting squeezed to death by an anaconda would be so much worse. Russell looked down. He could see the green and black pattern just below the water's surface. The snake's body was as thick as his thigh. He tried not to think of the pictures he had seen of an anaconda after a meal, a huge lump in the middle of its body, an entire dinner eaten in a single gulp. Russell's head felt fuzzy. He held his breath, careful not to move. "When an anaconda attacks," Mari whispered, "it wraps around its prey. Each time the victim exhales, the anaconda tightens its hold." Russell looked at Mari in disbelief. How could she talk about that at a time like this? Russell could feel the boat gently rocking as the scaly snake wiggled by. Its long, winding body sent ripples through the stream. "Sounds breathtaking," Dev said. This time Russell didn't smile at his teammate's joke. Didn't Dev realize how dangerous an anaconda could be? Once the snake was far enough away, Russell released a big sigh. "Don't worry, no one will suffocate on my watch," Javier said. But Russell had seen Javier's face when the snake swam under their canoes. "Hey guys," Sage said in a soft voice, "over there." When Russell squinted in the morning sun, he could see several sets of eyes, nostrils, and rounded ears poking out of the water. "Oh, it's a whole group of capybaras," Mari said. "That makes sense. They hardly ever live alone." Dev targeted his ANCAM immediately. "I'm not going to miss my shot again," he murmured. As if on cue, a young capybara stumbled onto the bank. The ANCAM went click, click, click. "Got it," Dev yelled before the rodent disappeared into the water again. "Send it to Bull Gordon," Sage said at once. Dev clicked a few buttons and the group heard the motor of the tiny camera walkie-talkie rev. In just a few seconds, Dev read out the loud message he had received. "It's a clue," he said. "Whose heart beats from inside glass?" He frowned and looked at his teammates. Russell did the same. A heart inside glass? That sounded like some bizarre medical operation, not something you would find in the rainforest. "I think I know this one too," Mari said, almost too quiet to hear. "Really?" Russell asked. Everyone turned and looked at Mari, who was absent-mindedly stroking her braid. "Yeah," Mari said. She slowly tilted her head from side to side, like she was tossing ideas around inside her brain. "I mean, it's a tricky clue. But there is the glass frog. It lives in the rainforest." "A glass frog?" Dev questioned. Mari shook her head. "Not real glass. It just has nearly clear skin on its stomach, so you can actually see its heart and other organs." "That's it," Sage announced. "I'm sure. So where will we find one?" "Near a stream or the river," Mari responded. "Okay then, let's keep an eye out as we go downstream," Sage declared. "I don't like that the green team is so far ahead." Russell eyed Sage. Why was she giving out orders? Mari was the one who knew all the answers. Even so, Russell agreed that they had to catch up with the other teams. The rhythm of the paddles sloshing into the water fell in time with the chirps and calls that filled the air. The rainforest was full of life, with trees hundreds of years old and more kinds of plants than anywhere else on Earth. The Amazon River was the heart of the jungle. Thousands of waterways joined it along its path across South America. During the rainy season, many streams overflowed, filling the forest floor with over 20 feet of water. But it was not only the rainy season now. It was drier, which meant the streams were not as full. Large rocks jutted out of the water, and the red team had to work to paddle around them. "Hit one of those rocks wrong, and all 5 of us will have to cram into one canoe," Javier said. Their guide's tone was friendly, but Russell knew it was a real warning. As they made their way downstream, Russell kept his eyes on the shores. If I remember correctly, there are hundreds of species of glass frogs. Maury had to raise her voice over the rush of the water. But almost all of them have pale green backs. Pale green in a rainforest? Russell repeated. How are we supposed to see them? We aren't, Maury responded matter-of-factly. Scientists think the frog's skin might be camouflage. How did Maury know all this stuff? Look out ahead, Javier called out. Russell looked and realized that their stream was about to join another larger, faster stream. There are rapids on the left, Sage yelled. Stay to the right. Russell plunged his paddle deep into the water to make the turn. Other side, he belted at Dev as their canoe tilted into the crashing water. Dev yanked his paddle out and quickly dipped it back into the water on the other side. But the water was moving too fast, and it ripped the paddle from his hands. Now Russell had to steer alone, and there were more rapids up ahead. Sorry, Dev yelled over the water. With Javier at the stern, the other canoe swept smoothly down the stream, avoiding the jagged rocks. Dev grasped both sides of the canoe, trying to keep it upright by sheer will. Wait, he called out. Look over there. I'm not exactly in the position for sightseeing, Russell reminded his teammate between his quick, short breaths, but a glance over his shoulder was all it took. Behind him on the far shore, he saw the green team cheering. There was a stream of rapids and rocks between them. They all assumed the same thing, that the green team had found the answer to clue number 3. Let's get to the other bank, Sage yelled to Dev and Russell. We can backtrack on land. Russell wrenched his paddle from side to side, trying to redirect the canoe. Even though he didn't have a paddle, Dev shifted weight to help them move the boat in the right direction. They were both out of breath by the time they rammed their canoe into the tall grass. I'll stay with the canoes, Javier said, and keep an eye out. Russell nodded. He didn't want to say what he was thinking, that it was a good idea. He wouldn't want to put it past the green team to push their canoes into the water and strand the red team on shore. They clambered out of the canoes and began to hike upstream. Start looking now, Sage said. The plant growth was thicker close to the river, where more sun snuck through to the forest floor. They pushed through branches and vines, skirting ferns on the ground. Even though his legs were wet with sweat, Russell was glad to have on long cargo pants for protection. I think I found one, Dev called. Let me see if it has a clear belly. The others turned to look just as he reached toward a tiny frog with a vivid green and black pattern. No, Maury screeched. It's poisonous. Dev jerked his hand back, still staring at the little frog sitting innocently on a log. It's a poison dart frog, Maury declared. That pattern is supposed to be a warning. You could get really sick touching that. It's green, Dev said, stunned. They come in blue, yellow, red, and green, and they're all toxic. Some can kill you. The frog we won't have any bold markings, Maury said, and they all headed off again. Dev held his hand in a nervous fist. It wasn't long before they reached a small clearing. Several trees grew along the river's edge. Where should we look? Sage asked, her question directed at Maury. Probably under a clump of trees, Maury said, where they can stay wet. Russell had to wonder what they would do without Maury. She seemed to be a wildlife genius. Found one, Maury announced almost immediately. She plucked a pale green frog off a skinny branch and held it in the air. All 4 kids looked up and gazed right through the clear skin at the inner workings of the frog. Is that its heart beating? Russell asked. Yep, affirmed Maury as Dev took a shot with his cam. Cool, huh? If you say so, Russell said, but my first thought was gross. Did you send the photo in? Sage asked Dev. Dev didn't need to answer. He held up the cam so everyone could read the message from Bull Gordon. Nice work. Next move? head to the high ropes.
Creature features.
Creatures features. Poison dart frog, also called poison arrow frog. Scientific name, multiple species. Family, Dendrobatidae. Type, amphibian. Range, Central and South America. Food, insects. These frogs are toxic. The rainforest native people use their poison on darts and arrows for hunting. There are hundreds of species coming in a range of colors. All are bright or have striking marks that tell other animals, steer clear, I've got venom on my skin. Most live on the forest floor, but some make their homes in trees. They live close to water to keep their skin moist.